On this week's episode of Keeping It Real, Cam Marston tells us about a traumatic and tragic moment at the gas pump last week and how he's upset he didn't react sooner.
Listen to this. This week I'm simply telling a story of what I saw late last week. I was filling my car up with gas and I noticed a woman in the pump aisle next to me filling up her truck with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. She was oblivious. She was in her own world, standing between the pump and her truck, filling it with gas. Across the parking lot, there were two police officers in their patrol car, and they were staring at this woman as she put gas in her truck. That's odd, I thought to myself. If they don't like what they see, why don't they get out of their car and go speak to this woman? This is strange. But I had no intention of getting involved in this scenario, whatever it may be. Keep it to yourself, Cam, I said under my breath, and get out of here. So I opened the back of my SUV and I climbed in to get at some trash that I couldn't reach through the window while I continued to fill up my car. Whenever I fill up the car, I clean the trash out. Just a moment later, while I was in the back of the car, I heard what sounded like a frightened voice coming from somewhere nearby. I stopped rooting around in the back of my car for a moment, and then I heard it again, and this time it was unmistakable, and I looked up and saw what was going on. The woman who had been smoking next to the gas pump's arm had caught on fire. When I first saw her, she was slapping at her right arm, which was clearly in flames, and then she began running around the parking lot, waving her right arm and screaming for help. And I'm ashamed to say that my first reflex was not to jump out of my car and run to help her. Frankly, I didn't know what to think or do. The thought I had when I first pulled up to the station and saw her by the pump had come true right in front of me. It had only taken a moment or two for this all to happen, and I guess I was just frozen or something, I don't know. I'm not proud. Thankfully, the person working the register in the gas station knew what to do. She ran out with a fire extinguisher and ran straight at this woman who's running around waving her burning arm. And the police officers were there quickly too. They had a fire extinguisher, which I guess was in the trunk of their car since their trunk was now open. And between the two of them, they sprayed this woman down. And she was now no longer on fire, and we all stood there for a moment to take it all in. She was crying. I suspect she was in pain. She was definitely traumatized. You could see it on her face. Then the police officer cuffed this poor woman and put her in the back of the patrol car. Paramedics? No. Ambulance? No. Handcuffs. One officer is now walking around this woman's truck, poking around inside, looking for something. And I walked over and I said, "Wow, glad you guys reacted so quickly. That could have been much worse." "Yeah," he said. He nodded. "But why did you arrest her?" I asked. "That doesn't seem right." "Well," he said, "she was waving a firearm." I'm Cam Marston, and I'm very, very sorry.
To hear more of Cam Marston's commentaries, search for Keeping It Real on your favorite podcast app or find them on Facebook.